Welcome back to talknorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. talknorth.com is powered by Bite Squad. Go to bitesquad.com or download their app. Get food to your door in minutes. Use the promo code TALKNORTH to get your first delivery free. Talk North gets you your first delivery free.
Look at the moon.
What?
The moon.
We're in bright, shiny object mode with Michael Russo. He just pointed out the moon's up there.
Looks nice. I think we should start the show with that.
I think we should. We will start the show with that. Michael Russo's sitting here, and he's looking through the windows at Delano's, and we're about to talk about hockey and other things for about an hour, and he looks up and he goes, "Look, the moon." Have you been in one of those cities that sells sells legal cannabis lately? Because you're kind of acting like the Big Lebowski right now.
I have. I was actually in Denver a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, whenever that. This season feels like we're 50 games in, so I don't know when we were in Denver, but it was recent.
He's Michael Russo, who writes for The Athletic. You might have heard about that. And he's also the man who recently lost a wrestling match with a sock.
Yeah, that's true.
No denial. Yeah. We have it on the record.
And it's not. I was driving.
Are you recovered yet?
No, I was like. I realized today when I was driving, I was still like a little bruised there because when I was turning the steering wheel, it was hurting.
So you hurt your finger on a sock. Is that an upper body injury?
Yeah, it is. Well, it depends where you put your hand, I guess. If you're like dragging it, if it's below your hip, it'd be lower. Can we start this show again?
You're in a very weird mood.
Yeah.
This is going to be quite an interesting show. I will say we are live at Delano's Pizza. This is the Russo-Souhan Show, part of the talknorth.com podcast network. We had about 140,000 listens across the network last year, and Michael's show is the most popular on the network. Thanks to everybody who's made it a success. Thanks to Delano's Pizza, downtown Minneapolis, for hosting us. Again, 118 North 4th Street. It's right by Ramp C. It's easy walking distance to Target Field and Target Center. And my wife has been on kind of this special, I hate the word diet, but she's been on a regimen. And she's breaking the regimen because we're having a weekend in New York. She's starting tonight. And the first thing she has eaten off a restaurant menu in like 96 days was Delano's Pizza. And she wanted to come here because she loves the sauce. Jared makes a proprietary tomato sauce that goes on all the pizzas. I'm ordering pizzas. A friend of the program, Do we know who ordered all the food for us?
Russo's Filter.
Oh, so Nick, our friend Nick, who was in town last week, called up and Delano's and ordered food for a bunch of us. Thanks, Nick. We appreciate it.
Who also has a podcast on your network. Should we mention that?
He also does. He runs the Minnesota Sports Fan podcast on the network. Thanks to Nick, which means we get Delano's Pizza to take home, which I really appreciate. I also have to offer one correction before we get to hockey talk here. I've been saying recently, I've been trying to kind of combine a couple of sponsors and say, hey, we love Delano's Pizza. Delano's Pizza delivers, but you can also order Delano's Pizza at Bite Squad. Actually, the best thing for Delano's Pizza is if you either come in and eat or if you order directly from Delano's, go to delanospizza.com or call them. There it is, 612-767-9494. They also have a store in Woodbury, so that gives them a huge delivery area. So if you want Delano's food or pizza, order directly from Delano's. The Bite Squad deal is different because of Michael's deal. And let me get that one going here. Boy, I'm disorganized today. I'm like you today.
If you want to pregame prep here, you know what this all means is that Brandon's got to work harder condensing all this.
Brandon's going to have to work really hard to make this sound good. Also, for this weekend, Friday and Saturday, if you want to use Bite Squad, use the promo code WILD2018, WILD2018, and you'll get $10 off. It's kind of a Russo promotion for a big hockey weekend.
Wow.
All right, let's talk about the team. You want to go general or specific? Here's my question. How can 8 players plan to have babies during the season. Isn't that what the off season's for?
Well, that's the Minnesota Winners. Bruce said nothing else to do during it. Was what he surmised. That should make. I almost made a joke before the season started, though. Another reason why I just had a bad feeling about this year was that there were 8 pregnant babies. Because it's, like the second that baby is born now, you got a player that's not exactly getting sleep or concentrating on hockey and things like that, and now you're going to have 8 of those instances all year where players. There's going to be responsibilities beyond just the ice, so. All joking aside, Bruce is actually worried about that.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is real life. And so, 42 kids on the Minnesota Wild after the season.
42?
Yeah, 42. And I'm not including the players.
Mary's not here to defend Granlund.
No, exactly. 42. So Mikko was the first. Had a little baby boy yesterday named Oscar. So congratulations to he and his wife Helena. Still one of my favorite Mikko Koivu stories ever was 2 seasons ago. I went to lunch with him at Kincaid's, and I'm walking across Rice Park with him, and I'm thinking, what am I going to write about Mikko? I've written 50 Mikko stories. It might have been 3 seasons ago, actually. I'm pretty sure. And so he and I are just shooting the breeze, and all of a sudden I just go, how'd you ever meet your wife? And it was the most amazing story. He was during the World Championships in 2010, and he checks into a hotel in Helsinki, and he sees this beautiful woman behind the counter, an agent that's checking in people. So he switches to her line. She's from Estonia, and he's all proud. He's the captain of the World Championship team. And it wasn't 2010. It would have been 2012 maybe. So anyway, he goes up to her, and he's like, all proud, I'm Mikko Koivu, and she had no clue who he was. No clue. And so for the rest of the time that Team Finland was at this hotel, he was trying to, wow her. Brought her flowers, asked her to lunch, and finally she relented and went to lunch, and here they are 3 kids later. So
I'm shocked he couldn't just woo her with his personality.
With his steely eyes.
With his sense of humor.
Yeah. Mikko has a good sense of humor. It's just, takes a little while to find it.
Years?
Yeah.
Decades?
He's intense. There's no doubt about it. But hey, it's pretty cool. I mean, the way just seeing him change from that 23-year-old 2005. So he would have been. He debuted in 2005, so he would have been 22. Just to see him from a guy that didn't speak a lot of English, had no clue what was going on, to now here. I mean, amazingly, now 14 seasons later, it's pretty neat to see how he's grown up. I mean, my entire career here in Minnesota has coincided with his career. He's so lucky. And that was supposed to be a joke, Jim. Jesus.
Coming from you, I thought it was just, just your ego coming out.
Well, both.
Yeah.
Yeah. So congratulations to Mikko.
I really just pressed you by not laughing at that joke.
Yeah, I know.
I apologize.
I think you zoned out.
If
Brian said it, Brian would have made you laugh.
I really don't listen to the show.
Yeah.
I apologize. You've been doing the beat for a long time.
Yep.
I covered pro beats for about 9-10 years, probably a little bit longer than that in different roles. And one of the cool things about hockey and baseball is you really do get to know these guys when they're very young, and you do watch them grow up. I always tell people, I met Justin Morneau the day he was drafted by the Twins. I was up in the Twins front office because things were a lot more loose back then.
Yeah.
And I ended up sitting there and talking to him, and he had trouble forming sentences. He had trouble saying more than one word at a time. And then he was kind of awkward through his minor league career and through his struggles. And then, then that 2006 season where he becomes the MVP, he just kind of came out of his shell, and now he's a television announcer, and he's really good at it. So you really do get to see people kind of grow up.
No, it is. It's amazing. And Ryan Carter is a perfect example right now. Just seeing him on TV and how good he is at his job. He's going to be an absolute superstar here in a couple of years from a personality standpoint. But yeah, Mikko's absolutely changed. I mean, in a lot of ways, he's the same person, intense. Still, he's got that intensity on the ice that has made him a good player for all these years. But it is, you're right. I mean, I've said it a gazillion times. The first player I ever met on the Minnesota Wild was Mikko. I walked into the locker room, and there he was. And I'm like, oh, there's their first-round pick. He's about to make his NHL debut this year. And I went right up to him. And here, I've covered him now. This is my 14th season and his 14th season. And, he's somebody that it was really cool when we got to go to Finland in 2010 and seeing him in his kind of his natural habitat, for lack of a better term, and how he's absolutely worshipped by fans over in Finland, how the media there absolutely adores him. It was pretty neat to see.
Absolutely.
And he'll play his 1,000th game later this season,
cool.
Which I reminded him of the other day, and he got all ticked about it. As usual, the Russo curse continues. He misses his next game.
Does he think it's a jinx or something?
How about last year when I wrote the Nate Prosser story that he played, he set his Ironman streak and then he gets hurt in the first period. That was funny.
Don't ever write about me.
Yeah. So
please.
He came back.
Again, we're live at Delano's Pizza, 118 North 4th Street, downtown Minneapolis. They also have a joint in Woodbury, and they have a huge delivery area, delanospizza.com or 612-767-9494. Reminders, our producer's Brandon Morton. We appreciate his work. If you listen to the show, please download before you listen. It's a better listening experience, better for us. If you'd like to sponsor any of the shows across the network, including some of the new ones with Jeff Diamond, the former Vikings GM, or Kevin Gorg, who's doing kind of a fantasy and hockey show, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. Thanks to sponsors Delano Pizza, BiteSquad.com, The Athletic, we'll tell you about that later, Twill in the Edina Galleria, WizKids.tech, FixologyRepair.com, and Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent in Champlin. I'm going to New York tomorrow. Stacy and I are going to head out there. We're going to see Hamilton this weekend. We're going to see Springsteen next weekend.
You should see Frozen. My friend's the lead in Frozen.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then you get me tickets.
Yeah. I can get you house seats, but you'd have to pay.
So you have a lot of pull here is what you're trying to say.
I'm just saying, You can't get freebies to a show like Frozen.
I just thought a big deal like you would be able to pull some strings.
Maybe. We'll see.
I was telling Vicky a story. You're a New York area guy, and I've always said that New Yorkers are gruff, but I really like them once you get to know them. And so I'm covering the Twins.
That would definitely explain me.
Yes. Well, half of you. So we fly into New York on a Sunday night. I'm going to cover a Twins series, and I'm sitting at Carmine's at the bar just eating spaghetti
Carmine.
Or something, And there's a short, skinny guy and a big guy at the end of the bar. They end up striking up a conversation. And, as a sports
right by the Marriott Marquis, right?
Yeah.
I met a famous actor there once.
Yeah. And so we're talking, and, we get – and this is back in the day where it was pretty easy to get tickets for Major League Baseball games. And I said, hey, can I get you some tickets for the Twins Yankees? They're like, oh, no, we don't have any interest. Let us get you tickets to Phantom of the Opera. And at that point, it was sold out every night. It was the packed house right down the street. And they basically ran the stage and the production. So I show up, and they bring me in. Right when I think that it was some kind of a hoax, and they weren't going to take care of me, they send a guy out in like a butler suit. He takes me in for standing room only. I'm like, this is great. Free Broadway show. I didn't expect this. And then just as the first notes start, they take me down like second row center. And I sit there and get to watch Phantom of the Opera. And as I'm leaving, I'm looking to say thank you to somebody. They send another guy, and they give me a backstage tour. And I was telling Vicky and Clive, they fold those huge Broadway floats that are just like football fields wide. They fold them all into the size of a card table, and they slide them up in the ceiling. Yeah. I had never figured out what they did before.
Yeah. Well, even when I went to the Orpheum here to see Book of Mormon a couple years ago, my buddy was the lead in that. And he brought us backstage after the show. I was with Don Mitchell and Paul Fletcher and his wife, and we went backstage after the show, and they were fascinated by it, where they put this stuff. And the Orpheum backstage is not big at all. And it is, that's the coolest part of when you get these backstage tours of these especially theaters, on how they have to essentially either lift it or put it under the stage or right back there, and how they put it on. First time I saw, Casey Levy is my friend. She's the lead in Frozen right now. First time I went to New York, and I was staying with she and her husband David, and she was doing. It was the first night of Ghost, where they call previews, and previews for a Broadway show or when all the ink-stained wretches, like sports writers. This is a great story, actually. So this is when the theater critics come and watch. Well, so I'm staying with them, and they always joke, but maybe it's true that I am the absolute worst luck. Well, she's doing her solo